conclusions are often the most difficult part of an essay to write. And many writers feel that they have nothing left to say after having written the paper, that they've said everything. I struggle with conclusions as well. But a reader needs to keep in mind that the conclusion is often what readers remember best. So it's going to be the best part of your entire conclusion. So you need to make sure that you're not just blatantly restating the reasons as a cut and paste of the opening opinion. Rather, you want to provide the reader with a sense of closure as well as a fresh way of looking at the opinion and the reasons, so that insight. You don't want it to be predictable, you don't want it to be patterned, you really want it to be a new way of looking at it and providing that insight. Okay, so again, this is going to be the best part of the composition because this is what the reader is left with, the last thing they'll remember. It needs to stress the importance of the opinion statement, it needs to give the essay a sense of completeness, leave a final impression, synthesize rather than summarize. And when you're synthesizing, you're giving that insight, you're using the analysis and kind of putting it all together, and you're going to redirect your readers to something that's important in their life. Why should they care? With that redirection, you're going to give your reader something to think about, perhaps a way to use your idea in the real world. If your introduction went from general to specific, make your conclusion go from specific to general, so that you're thinking globally and that it's kind of mirroring what you had in the beginning. Okay, our first strategy for conclusions is called echoing the introduction. It's a strategy that is meant to bring the reader full circle. For example, if you begin by describing a scenario, you can end with the same scenario as proof that your essay was helpful in creating a new understanding. So, for example, if you did the vignette, which this is the vignette from earlier, about the woman that was illiterate and having to ask for help to read, so your conclusion could mirror that, and you could continue the vignette of what happens when she was able. So in conclusion, today Alice stands in front of the same frozen food display, reading the ingredients on the box for herself. She doesn't have to wait for help from a stranger. She doesn't have to be ashamed. She doesn't have to pretend. Alice has joined the ranks of those illiterate adults who have now learned to read, and a whole new world has opened up to her. So you're making your point. You're leaving now with kind of a good emotion in your readers as you've closed with this, echoing the introduction. Challenging the reader. Those of you that like to argue, you'll like this. This is going to issue a challenge to your readers in an effort to help them redirect the information in your composition and hopefully apply it to their own lives. So, for example, though serving on a jury is not only a civic responsibility, but also an interesting experience, many people still view jury duty as a chore that interrupts their jobs and the routine of their daily lives. We must remember that juries are a part of America's attempt to be a free and just society. Think about how you will respond when you get your next jury summons. What kind of a citizen will you choose to be? So you're challenging them. How will they respond? And with the information from the essay, how does your reader or writer want you to respond? So looking to the future can emphasize the importance of your composition and redirect readers' thought processes. It may help them apply the new information to their lives or see things more globally. So for example, littering is a significant problem for all of us. One day our parks will be overrun with trash and children will have no place to play. Before long, our roadsides will be infested with vermin scampering among the garbage tossed from the windows of indifferent drivers. In the future, America the Beautiful could become America the Wasteland. So if you look right here, that's what's going to happen if we don't fix the problem. We're looking into the future of what the impact could be. Alright, so posing questions, either to your readers or in general, may help your readers gain a new perspective on the topic, which they may not have held before reading your conclusion. It may also bring your main ideas together to create a new meaning. So an example of that is learning to read important. Every year the number of functionality illiterate adults in our nation increases. How will this impact the workplace in coming years? What will be the effect of our children, as these adults are their role models? Can you imagine the state of our nation if this tide is not reversed? So, lots of rhetorical questions. Does it have impact? Absolutely. So, in review, you have echoing the introduction, challenging the reader, looking to the future, and posing questions. All of these are great strategies to really produce impact and insight into your closing paragraphs. And all of us need to work on this. So what we're going to do tomorrow in class is we're going to have this practice, and I wanted to go ahead and give you the prompt. You have 3 prompts to choose from. You're going to choose one. Think about someone that you would consider a good citizen. Explain why good citizenship is important. Almost Almost every person has access to a computer. Explain why computers are important. Think about why a country would need reform. Explain why reform is a good idea. So you're going to choose one. And on this graphic organizer that I will have for you tomorrow, you're going to write a well thought out opening. What would be the 3 to 2? Remember, you can be 2, minimum 2. And then what would be your well thought out closing? The second half of the period is going to be where you're actually working on your article, finishing up, and using one of these strategies in your own article. These are great strategies for you to use in expository writing.